Hi, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. Welcome to Open. Hey, coming up on today's show, we'll connect with an old friend and her associate will sit down with us to speak about an important guidebook that is helping parents out this holiday season. If you want to know more about that, we've got it for you right here. Then we'll sit down with the CEO of an organization that is raising awareness on HIV in the Black community. After that, we'll hear from a multimedia artist who will highlight her latest art collection. And finally, we're going to talk to the co-founder of the Mental Health and Mental Conditioning Gym and learn how he and his wife, they got together, and they're here all the time. They got together and they're helping others stay fit, mind, body, and spirit. And we'll check out the release of their new book, too. All of some more is headed your way because we are now open. You ready? We've got it going on for you. And welcome back. I'm the Doc Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. You know, it's that live interactive program that it brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You can stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Now, our first guest are the founders of Latinx in Social Work, Sandoval. She's been here too. Sandoval Collab, and the founder and executive director of Siembra today. So they are no strangers to the show. She joins us to talk about the Postpartum Doula and author of Conscious Parenting. It's a guidebook. And they're here today to speak about the parenting guide and share some healthy parenting tips. So please welcome to the show, Erica Sandoval and Carolina Bolivar. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bob. I'm excited to be here today with my incredible partner, Carolina Bolivar, who is the co-author to Conscious Parenting, a guide for parents. And I would love for you to learn more about Carolina.
Yes, and this is the first time I'm meeting Carolina. Welcome. Wait, should we initiate her first since this is the first time?
Yeah, let's initiate her.
Okay, you are officially initiated. Tell us a little bit more about you and how you guys met up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. And I'm super excited to share a little bit about my journey. I'm originally from Colombia, came to the United States 24 years ago, coming from a family of parents that did the best they could with the tools that they had.
Yeah.
Found myself very young having a child, and unfortunately I did not have the tools, so I kind of repeated the same things that we learned from our parents.
Yeah.
And the second time around, 4.5 years ago, after a long journey of self-discovery, working with different plant medicines, working with a lot of other moms, and understanding this whole concept of how can we raise children in a more conscious way. And having my second child really gave me that opportunity that I didn't have now that we have so many amazing tools to be able to really connect with ourselves, taking care of ourselves, living in a more harmonious way so that we can be a safe space, so that we can really encourage our children and be there for them, especially in the way that we parent. How are we parenting today?
Yeah.
Because we have nowadays amazing tools to be able to guide them in a more loving way.
And then you took the tools that you have that enabled you to be able to put the book together, right?
Correct. Yeah. So it was a beautiful journey because there are things that we can do at home. We can share so many tools that don't cost us anything, so that we can experience this with our children as well.
Conscious parenting. How did you come up with the name?
Well, conscious parenting is just like really becoming conscious of our own emotions, so that we can connect with what's happening inside of us. we can hold space for ourselves. We can start working through all of those emotions that we are experiencing, and we can sort of heal our own childhood, that inner child that lives within us, so then that we could be the cycle breakers of our own families, right? I think and I feel that we all come from, and with my experience with working with a lot of moms and a lot of families, especially coming from Latin America, we experience like punishment and like hitting and different kind of abuses that have been very normalized. So I feel once we start going into the journey and understand that is not okay, and that is very painful for us. Yeah. So then I decided that I wanted to create this book so that we can have the mindfulness and the consciousness, so that we can do it from a place of love. I feel like we can really change the world with just one generation of more conscious and loving parents.
Was there a difference between the punishment that you were, or the reprimanding that you went through in Colombia as opposed to what it is here in America?
Well, look, there was more like physical, right?
Well, I'm just saying reprimanding, so I don't know exactly what took place.
So it was more physical. It was more verbal. And unfortunately, I didn't have the tools. So 18 years ago, 22 years ago, I kind of did the same with my oldest child. Fortunately, we have been able to repair that, and really understanding that is not the way, because as children, right, when we receive these kind of abuses from our parents, we don't stop loving our parents. We really stop loving ourselves. And then we allow other people. We normalize these kind of abuses, and that's what we're seeing right now in society. Like, people coming from a lot of domestic violence and many situations, and even children coming from domestic violence.
But that's how they raised people in different cultures. So the Pela out there was different from the Pela here in the States.
Well, I kind of want to interject. I don't think it depends on the country or the culture. I think it depends on the environment and the way that we've been raised. Because it doesn't matter if it's in the United States, Colombia, Ecuador. I'm from Ecuador. I was raised here in New York. And it's not just any type of physical violence. It's also conscious parenting is about the way we talk to our kids, the words we say to our kids, how we name their struggles. So, for example, if you are consciously parenting, and you know that your child has she's very hyper. You don't want to say there's something wrong with you. Like, what's wrong with you? You can't sit still. You're just always getting in trouble. Consciously, they're not aware of what their hyperactivity is about. So really kind of understanding of how to phrase, how can I support my child, my daughter, and being able to use correct language in order so we're not traumatizing our kids, and we're looking at ourselves too. Perhaps it's the trauma of the environment, of society, of school. Maybe they're getting bullied. There's so many reasons why kids will be acting out, but the way we respond to kids is so important. So as a clinical social worker, mental health provider, I noticed that a lot of my clients were coming in as adults saying, I really want to be different. I want to break that cycle and really undo anything that was done to me because our parents weren't conscious. And it doesn't matter what country you're from. It's just the way it is.
I get it. I was wondering if she put the difference in the book that she wrote. But how did you guys meet up?
It was really great. We actually met at a event that I had. It was a free event, and it was about 2 years ago. And she attended this amazing event. I know it was about love and self-love. It was like a self-love event. And she came in and she said, let's have lunch. And we had lunch. And as soon as we had lunch, we instantly clicked. We were finishing each other's sentences. We were talking so much about the way we were raised. I was also a single mom. She's also a single mom. And what I did is I really was very conscious as soon as I had my daughter, and I began my own therapy journey and support group journey. And I really was able to break the cycle of
Yeah.
intergenerational trauma. And she's 24. Dr. Bob, you met her. She's wonderful. You
Yes,
invited her
yes.
to come on the show.
Yes.
She hasn't done it yet, but you've met her before. So there's like a lot of connections that we had and similarities, and we were just really aligned, and we began to collaborate together. And this was one of the amazing collaborations that happened.
So you guys are in sync.
Yes.
How are you teaching others, and what are other people learning about what you're teaching?
We have Siembra today, the nonprofit has free educational workshops that we are providing to organizations across New York City and beyond. So we're using this tool that was created by Carolina and I as an opportunity to really gift these books to the parents and then have workshops so they can recognize their own symptoms and behaviors and check in with themselves and leave with tools. This book is bilingual. It's in English and in Spanish. And so Carolina wrote some amazing guidance for tools, just connecting with yourself, with your breath work, and she can share more about it. But these workshops are being offered across New York City and beyond. And they can contact Siembra today to book a workshop that we can provide for the organization by clinical social workers and by holistic practitioners.
Carolina, talk about some of those tools. I got about 2 minutes left.
Okay, great. So something very simple, we can always come back to our breath, especially when we feel like we are losing a little bit of our patience.
Yeah.
So we can always take connect with the emotion, like what is happening. And then you just put your hand on your chest, feel your heart. Remember that we are alive, being in the present moment. And before we lose our patience, like really take a deep breath in and think before we share with our children. That will be number one. Number two, something that works for me very well is like, especially when I'm going through a challenging time, I can just take off my shoes and take a walk on the grass. Also, you can just step and dance. Moving energy really allows us to release any emotion. Also, journaling and writing all our emotions make a huge difference. So there are so many things that we can do on a daily basis that really allow us to be in the present moment.
So instead of taking off your shoes and throwing them, take a deep breath and sit back, relax, kick off your shoes.
You're so funny, Dr. Bob. You keep thinking of the chancla. That's what it is.
Well, you know, she said take off your shoes because a lot of people took off the shoes and threw them.
That was so long ago, though.
But I'm still traumatized because my mother threw a shoe at me. I thought I got away. I was around the corner.
Then you have to come to our workshop.
You have to come to our workshop. I want you at our workshop. We have to have a workshop with you.
You're gonna sit me down, right?
Yes, it's just beautiful because I want to just make a note of this, that we want to just identify and note that we're not stating that all parents are doing things to harm their kids. We're not stating that. We're just stating
I get it.
We know that as adults that have experienced parenting that has been the norm for many years, because this is the way that they were treated. We want to provide an opportunity to become more conscious of how the feelings are left within for your children, how we can create that cycles of breaking these cycles of trauma or breaking these cycles of the way we have parented before.
Those things are definitely out there, and we definitely need your help. And thank you for all the things that you guys are doing and bringing people together and creating the awareness that we do have a situation that needs to be tackled.
Absolutely.
We want to thank you and your organization for doing what you do.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. And the way you take care of yourself is the way you're going to care for others. And you can check us out at Siembra Today on Instagram and on our website, siembratoday.org, SIEMBRA today.org. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys came together. We appreciate you and love you. Okay. All right. We'll take a quick break. I've got more Open coming your way next.
Hey, Creative Family. My name is Timothy Coleman, and I'm the Director of Education here at BronxNet. and I'm standing in BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios in the South Bronx because I want to let you know about an amazing program that we're bringing back that highlights the creativity of community members just like you. Emerging Media Makers is a show that introduces you to BronxNet's certified producers. They've taken a step in their creative journey by enrolling in BronxNet's media training classes. On this show, you'll get to see the many ways that our certified producers have created a space that's all their own. Emerging Media Makers, your passion lives here.
And welcome back, welcome back. Our next guest is the CEO of Watchful Eye. Watch out, I'm watching you. She's going to speak about her organization and how it's mobilizing toward achieving their goals of elevating awareness of HIV in our community. So please welcome to the show, Dr. D. Bailey in the house.
Babe.
Doc, how are you?
Oh, thank God, I am good.
Good. Did you enjoy the weekend? I know the holidays are upon us, and here we go.
Yes,
A lot of people
yes,
shopping, a lot of moving and shuffling.
yes, great weekend, but we also had World AIDS Day Sunday this weekend, and what that meant, going from church to church, raising that message.
Oh, that's
about
right. That was
getting-
2 weekends ago. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
right.
Yeah. So you were going from church to church at that time?
Yes, what we do is we coordinate with our different participating churches. And the one thing, if I can't get to all of them, as you know, Brooklyn is the borough of churches, so I couldn't make them. But there was a consensus that the pastors would also raise awareness by mentioning HIV and AIDS and the significance of getting tested. And if you are positive, getting into care.
Yeah. Are we making progress with the things that are out there and with the things that you guys are doing?
Well, basically, I was going to say we've come a very
long way.
A very long way, Dr. Bob. Even if you remember when I was with the National Black Leadership Commission on AIDS back in the 90s, we were using media and everybody was coming together to raise awareness that HIV and AIDS was in the Black community.
Yeah.
We had to get past and conquer, but we've come a long way from there. You know, now people are just taking tests very simply at home, you know, these at-home tests and all of that.
Yeah.
But the education is not done properly. We're not finished making people understand what HIV and AIDS is. And so therefore, yes, we've come a long way with medication and people in care. People are living, of course, longer. You know, when I got involved, people were dying.
Right away.
When they found out they
yeah.
were HIV positive, they also found out that they already had AIDS, and they didn't live long after that based on their condition. Now people are walking around every day, just like you and me, leading very healthy lives. We had a member come before the AACEO, the African American Clergy and Elected Officials meeting on Friday. He was 37 years living with the virus and telling this story because I wanted to show people that AIDS and HIV is not a death sentence anymore.
Right. So your organization, Watchful Eye, is testing. You got the outreach going on. You got the prevention. Talk about some of the initiatives that you're working with now.
Well, our Red Ribbon Revitalization Campaign is major. Why is it major? Because it's visual. You can see it. You can look at our ribbons, our 8-foot by 3-foot ribbons on the streets of Brooklyn, Fulton Street, in front of the hospitals. Brookdale Hospital was one of our first hospitals to have a red ribbon right outside its door, right next door to the flag of the United States, letting everybody know in that community that HIV and AIDS is here. We're looking. We still don't have a cure, but we're encouraging people to get tested, get into care. And I tell you, the remarkable thing about the Red Ribbon Campaign is that it's not us having a media event putting a ribbon in front of that hospital, but it's the work that goes into it before raising that ribbon up. It's the community meetings. It's the CBOs coming together. It's the churches coming together. It's the committee that comes together and says, no, we are going to embrace this. Anywhere you go, we are going to be talking about HIV and AIDS in this community. So the raising of the ribbon is the ultimate message to everyone that we are working together and we are here.
And what can communities do, or what can media do to enhance what you're doing?
Well, the media always, as you know, and I don't have to say it, has always played a pivotal role in getting the message out. The media, the same way when COVID struck, it was all over the media, everywhere. When Ebola struck, it was all over the media. Everybody was talking about it. HIV and AIDS needs to get back to that. It needs to let people know that AIDS is not over. HIV, because people are quieter, a little quieter, we're not quiet, of course, but people are living with it in silence. People don't want anybody to know. We're still fighting that same stigma of secret, conducted secret around it. People not sharing with their family members, people not sharing with their young people. We have a speakers bureau, which is made up of very nice young people from middle school all the way through high school. Yeah. These young people work. These young people are participating in bands, steel bands, playing basketball, all kinds of things. And at the middle of their sessions, I had them at the Barclays Center, at the middle of their session, instead of them just bouncing around and having fun, they're standing in the middle of that court saying, get tested, know your status. It's a big, marvelous sentiment to have young people carrying the message of HIV and AIDS and getting tested.
And what message would you like to convey to our community about protecting themselves against HIV and AIDS?
I say to everyone, please, from the elders all the way down to the children, HIV and AIDS is real. From the invention, and I don't have to tell all of you, of Viagra. We have seniors that's running around here, and they're not worried about dying because they're looking at themselves at an age where they don't have to worry about that. And not to say that they're just having sex. They're sharing needles because our seniors have medical and financial problems. Yeah. And in these places, people are sharing their little diabetes needles and so forth. We still have to practice telling people about HIV and AIDS and how you get it. We still have to go back to the old school messages of saying, don't share your needles, put a condom on. Number one, young people, you're not oblivious to HIV and AIDS because of your age.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of our old messages that I plan in 2025 to broadcast, to put, and if I can send them out to our media folks to say, listen, let's come up with our own messages for our people and let's save our people. AIDS ain't over.
Yeah, but there's some success stories out there from your organization, Watchful Eye. Let's talk about some of those things because
I just wanted to
there's a lot of help out there, and especially from your organization.
Our major success story, believe it or not, had to do with the COVID epidemic. Why? Why were we such a success? Because we had been dealing with HIV and AIDS, discrimination, people dying, bereavement counseling, all of that. We did that through the AIDS epidemic at its height. When COVID struck, once again, here comes something that nobody understood. Here comes something that was taking people out. People were panicking. People were just in a state of mind. And when they reached out to the HIV AIDS advocates and said, help, We need help. We need help. We need you to go around to wherever the churches where people are gathering. We need for you to use those same skills that you use in Watchful Eye to help people get through the epidemic of AIDS. We need that same focus. We need you to help ease people's minds that the virus is controllable. At least they had a virus, a vaccination that they could give you for COVID. HIV and AIDS still don't have a cure. But we were the experts, and we took the lead in fighting that COVID, and we did what we had to do. And people still talk about how they use the HIV AIDS advocates to fight the COVID epidemic.
Yeah, so we got to keep the pressure on, all right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Bob. And I thank you personally and professionally for you always making a statement and always standing up for our people and what's going on.
Yes.
That's affecting us mostly, and you never shy back.
No, well, when you're out there, you see the people who are out there working in the community. People out there with their sleeves rolled up, just keeping that message going, no matter what it is, letting them know,
Right.
just standing
just
by
wanted
and
to
walking side by side with our community.
Yes, and one of our most things that I am so proud of is our elected officials, along with our churches, along with our community-based organizations. I have the pleasure of serving as the chief of operations for the African American Clergy and Elected Officials Coalition.
Yes.
But it's not just that name. It's the people involved, all the way from our own Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, who serves as vice president, all the way down to our churches and our CBOs. We come together, and HIV and AIDS is at the top of that agenda.
Dr. D. Bailey in the house, thank you for all you do.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate
Thank
you
so much, and be well.
Are we going to see you in the community? Where are you going to be?
Absolutely. You can always catch up with Watchful Eye at 347-533-4300, or you can go on Facebook. We're out there. We're on the media. So please join in, help us. And in 2025, join that big network that we are coming together to say AIDS ain't over. Watchful
Eye.
Thank you.
Dr. D. Bailey, we appreciate you and thank you for all the wonderful work that you're doing in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great holiday season.
You too. All right. We'll take a break right here. More Open coming your way next. And welcome back. Thank you for joining us. You're watching Open, and I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. Our next guest is a mixed media artist who joins us to highlight how she is using immersive street pop-inspired art installations to encapsulate the human experience. And she's here with us today. Please welcome to the show, Amelia C. Williams. Welcome,
Hi.
welcome, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for
You-
having me.
You're doing your thing out there, huh?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get into it?
Well, I grew up around artists. My grandmother was an artist, and most of the people in my family are artists on my mom's side. And I grew up in Westchester, New York, on my grandparents' property. They actually owned 4 cottages on this property. So all of my neighbors were also artists. So like when I say I was surrounded by art all the time, it was like very literal. So I think I just like absorbed creativity just by osmosis growing up. And that was just like the way that I naturally expressed myself. And I sat and learned how to paint when I was really young with my mom, with my grandmother, and then did a lot of creative projects with my mom growing up. But I didn't get into painting until much more recently because I felt, I was I would compare myself to them.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel connected with the type of painting that they did necessarily. And I didn't feel like I was as good. And so I ended up working in the fashion industry for a really long time and felt that that was like more of the route for me to take creatively.
Yeah.
And once I got there, I realized that, I mean, it took many years to realize that the fashion industry was not for me, and it's very toxic and was not that creative.
Yeah.
And when I was in LA for about 10 years. And so when I landed back in New York, I decided to do everything the opposite of what I've been doing and just picked up a paintbrush and didn't really think about it. And just kind of let my emotion spill on canvas, and it just felt really good. So I just kept doing more.
Hey, that's
and
how
more
you
and
do it.
more of it.
Put your emotions on canvas.
Yeah.
I see that in your bio it says something about elements of emo culture from the early 2000s and
Yeah.
capturing
Yeah.
the innocence and passion of the first love
Yeah.
with illustrated depictions of chaotic, obsessive attachments fueled by trauma, anxiety, and depression. Talk about that. Just take it all out and throw it on the paper. Let's get it all out.
Yeah, a lot of it. So like I said, a lot of it started out with just kind of expressing my emotion on the canvas. And then I started to kind of pay a little more attention to what I was doing and really start to like kind of visualize, okay, where do I want to take this? Because I really want this to turn into more of a message, not necessarily just about my experience, but I want people to connect with it. And yeah, it's all, I mean, I grew up in the early 2000s in high school. I listened to a lot of pop punk and like emo rock and culture. And it was very like, it was depressing, but it was very of the time, and it was very angsty and teenagery. But as I got older, I, have gone through a lot of mental health issues myself, and I've been in therapy forever, and I love it. And turning to art as a form of therapy for myself has been life-changing.
I mean, you can talk to people, but then you can take it out of your head and put it on the canvas.
Exactly. I think learning how to release everything that's stuck inside of you in the healthiest way possible is like important for everyone. And I think everyone is creative in their own right and in many different ways. And I think we're really conditioned to kind of like repress a lot of that. And like, especially like I was saying, I didn't feel like I connected with a lot of art when I was younger. And even in high school, they wouldn't let me into the advanced art programs because I was not like the perfect student. And I didn't get to express myself that way for so many years. And I was so repressed. And then when I started to do it, I felt like lighter and lighter and lighter because I felt like 30 years of like trauma and depression and anxiety had been like, shoved down in my body. And finally being able to get that out and have a voice in the way that felt the most comfortable for me and most natural was, I mean, it was just life-changing.
Yeah. Amelia, explain how the confusion was related to your racial identity.
So I'm biracial, I'm mixed race. I grew up in, my mom's white. I grew up with my mom. My grandparents were white, whose property I grew up on. So I grew up in Cortland Manor in Westchester, which is a predominantly white area. And so I just had a struggle. I didn't really grow up with the Black side of my family at that time, especially during my formative years. So I, looking into media and looking at my surroundings in a very odd way, I kind of just felt like I was living the white experience. And when I turned 30, I started to really like going through therapy and started to examine like a lot of my experiences and realizing like, oh my God, like I'm not a white girl, like I'm biracial and the world doesn't see me the way, not that I saw myself that way, but just because that was the environment.
Did black people call you white and white people call you black?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah. Well, white people
or
actually.
they came to you speaking Spanish?
Most, say that again?
They came up to you speaking Spanish.
I had people come up to me speaking Spanish for sure. And in college, a lot of people called me white girl. Like that was my nickname.
Yeah.
And like, I would laugh it off, but it took years to really realize how much that actually weighed on me. And just kind of the long-term effects that it has where your like identity is almost being told who you are instead of like being able to be myself and having that comfortable versus like, I felt like I was kind of like molding myself to make everyone else around me comfortable. And so when I stopped doing that, it definitely shifted my life and it was very difficult. But again, that's a lot of experiences.
But Amelia, you're beautiful just the way you are.
Oh, thank you.
Look, if this will help you out a little bit, I'm black and Italian. I look Puerto Rican or Dominican, and my last name is Lee. Whoa.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me anymore. I just get in the mix with the multitudes, and I can mix them with any race, any religion, any tradition.
Exactly. And I think there's a superpower. I mean, I've been able to kind of like go in and out of any room really.
Yes.
Really observe. I mean, especially I do a lot of writing too, and I will eventually write about all of these experiences, but just being able to be an observer of like white environments has been very interesting because a lot of people around me kind of would forget that I was even part black and would say a lot of things that I think they would only say around white people normally. And so I've had a very specific view into this world that is difficult and but also interesting because I've seen a lot of the reality of
of course you're gonna see it. It's there. But you are a unique person because you can get in the mix with just about any and I've used that. I've been very fortunate and lucky with a lot of my experiences and careers, and I've been using all of it in a positive way to be able to get my foot into the door. What's next for Amelia?
So I have an art show January 18th in Kingston. Right. It's a pop-up show. It's under the collection of the Love Bugs, which is all about the different mental health issues that can affect you and then over time affect your relationships because of it. And it's mostly about the state of limerence. So it's actually about your uncontrollable addiction to love that a lot of us feel in the beginning of dating. And then also when you're going through the breakup, it's that withdrawal and it's the withdrawal of oxytocin. So it's a lot of just visuals about that. So my show is going to feature a lot of that work. And then it's also going to highlight a lot of some new work that I'm working on under the collection of It Was All a Dream. And it's going to be talking just a lot more about my personal experiences in America and just like and my perspective and what I see around me. So it'll be at Camp Kingston, January 18th in upstate New York.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
And you're going to post that up everywhere?
Yeah, that'll be on my website, ameliacwilliams.com, or my Instagram, AmeliaCWilliams_.
There you go. Hey, listen, thank you for joining us and thank you for sharing. Remember, get it all out of the head, put it on canvas, put it in lyrics, just talk to people and keep yourself that unique person that you're here to be.
Thank you. Yes, everyone
Follow
should.
your purpose-driven life.
Exactly.
Find out what that is and stick with it, because when you stick with something long enough, something always happens. But make sure you keep it positive.
I agree with
What's your website again?
AmeliaCWilliams.com. So AmeliaCWilliams.com.
We love you. Thank you so much. Join us again, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
And keep smiling. I like that pretty smile.
Thanks.
All right. We'll take a break. I've got more coming up next on Open.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. BronxNet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the BronxNet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit bronxnet.org to learn more.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back. Hope you're having fun. Hope you are enjoying it and getting a lot of good information out of what we're offering right here. Our next guest is he represents half of a dynamic husband and wife team that are co-founders of a mental conditioning gym and founders of the mental conditioning movement. He joins us today to speak about how he and his wife are helping others achieve holistic wellness and so much more. So please welcome to the show, Elliot Allen.
Thank you,
Welcome,
Dr. Bob.
Elliot.
Thank you,
Nice
sir.
to see you.
Nice to see you.
All right. There are a lot of people that can use your help.
Yes.
Especially during stressful times, during the holidays, and then after.
Yes, yes. Listen, I just did a message last week about that, about this time of the year. You know what? It's very stressful mentally.
Yeah.
It's a good time, but sometimes we really struggle with loss. There's a chapter in my book called The Thrill of Victory and the Agony of Defeat.
Yeah.
I love that chapter because we talk about it runs the gamut. The thrill of victory, hey, it's the holiday season.
Yeah.
We're getting together with fellowship. That mentally feeds our soul. But there's a part that we have to remember. There's an agony of defeat because a lot of times we sit around that table, dad's not there, mom's not there. Some cases our children are not there.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that? That's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. But what I try to explain to people, when you train your mind to understand that, they are there because they instill certain things in our character that can never, ever leave us.
Yeah.
But you have to train to be able to recognize that because it's painful sitting around that table and those people are missing. But that's the agony of defeat that we have to be able to grab into our mindset and use it for the future.
Very painful. You know, you brought that up. We did a big gala. I have something called the Make the Grade Foundation for Education.
I love it.
A lot of people come, a lot of different organizations,
I
but
love
the
it.
individuals come also. And I did this guy's wedding, him and his wife. And he hired me to do a party for him, waterfront, a retirement party. We had a lot of fun, did that party. And then he said, I want you to do another one for me on 125th Street, in January. So in the meantime, he purchased 2 tickets to the foundation. And I don't mean to take up a lot of your time doing this,
go ahead.
but it relates to what you're talking about. So he buys a ticket, him and his wife, they got a seat, and Wednesday, before Thanksgiving. He got sick, and they took him to the hospital and everything. His wife said, you know, we have a lot of people coming over who want me to cancel it. He said, no, just bring me some food on Friday. They went back home, started preparing the food. She got a call, said, your husband just died. She ran back over to the hospital. His body was still warm. People came into the room. Our doctors were crying, and he just was gone just like that. Still had the 2 seats at the gala. We left them open there.
Bob.
So things like that happen.
You know, you had a guest on earlier, Dr. Bailey.
Yeah.
And she
Dr.
talked about HIV and AIDS.
Yes.
And as she was talking, I thought about Magic Johnson, 1992, and making that announcement. I was graduating from high school. I was devastated. But what I remember most about that to this day is Magic's mindset. When he did that interview, he said, yeah, I got HIV, but I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And at that time, as she said, that was a death sentence. And you were like, Magic is gone. Here we are, 30 plus years later.
Yeah.
And that man is still ticking. Of course, some of it is physical, him making sure that he physically takes care of his body.
Yes.
But that's up here. That's not physical. That's mental.
Yeah.
His attitude of, I'm going to beat this. That's why I get really encouraged when I think about mental conditioning and mental training. That's where the book is so paramount to me, to use that analogy of boxing. Because it's hard sometimes. When I have these conversations in my gym and we mentally spar, it's difficult to explain to people how important.
There it is right there.
It's difficult to me to explain to people how important mindset training is, because we don't think about it that, well, that has to do with mental training.
Oh, absolutely.
But we have to make those analogies to really get people to understand how important it is to get into the mental conditioning gym and to read 12 rounds of mental conditioning, Us Against Life, the big fight. And that's on pay-per-view.
That's on pay-per-view. Beautiful. You know, another person that's going through the same thing, who's had it for a long time, Maria Davis in our community.
Yes, man.
In the Harlem community. And she's been living with it. She's an advocate. She goes out to different places. She talks about it.
Wow.
And she even, I think, backs one of the drug companies who are putting medicine out there for people.
Wow. That attitude is something that I think we all need to take something from that. You know, as we go through life and the different challenges come to us in our lives, we have to understand how important the mindset piece of it is.
That's
to
it
be able
right
to
there.
get into that
Look
ring.
You got the Dukes up.
That's right.
Here we go.
That's right. To be able to get into that ring of life.
Yeah.
The most difficult opponent is life. Life is a very tough opponent. Hits very hard, very fast, can take a punch, and unlike human beings, life don't get tired. So you have to learn how to navigate your way around that. You have to learn how to throw the punches to make sure that you're doing the damage that you need to be able to get to your destination in life to become world champion.
And survive the 12 rounds.
Can you do it?
Life can go past 12 rounds.
It can go past 12 rounds. So the key is to make sure that we are what? In great mental shape. That's what the gym is about.
And so how does one get to that point in being in great mental shape?
So when you come to our gym, we train off of 4 principles. Those 4 principles are self-evaluation, decision-making, big picture, and staying the course. Every guest that you had on here, they fall perfectly into that. Self-evaluation, we're talking about parenting. Right. I tell people, as a parent, we are our children's very first mental conditioning coach. Yeah. Whether you want that job or not, you are hired, and you'll never be fired. You can walk out of that house, but guess what? You're still training that child's minds. So every piece of it does require us to have mental training. The second piece, decision making. That's a huge part. We all decided to come here today to do this interview. That's decision making. Yeah. What's truly your big picture? We have tremendous fatigue at times. I'm tired. I don't feel like doing this. But guess what? Your big picture is what's going to drive you to say, but I got to go. This is what I have to do. And you're going to get knocked down. How do you get back up? Stay the course. But that all comes into those other 3 principles, understanding your big picture, understanding who you are, and that'll allow me to say, I'm hurt. I'm going to stay down for 8. But when that referee say 9, I'm going to get on my feet, and I'm ready to go.
We fall down, but we get up.
We get up. That's right.
There you go. So the book is out. You've written the book. Didn't you do this about 6 months ago?
The book has been about 6
a
months.
Year?
Yep. 12 rounds of mental conditioning, Us Against Life, the big fight. Again, we use a lot of boxing analogies.
I like it. That's how I grew up.
Me too.
No, yeah.
Me
There
too.
you go.
Me too. Those conversations that somebody asked me the other day, where did that come from? And I had a revelation because my father, for me, the holiday season is tough because my father's not here.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? My father wrote that book. My dad and I talked a lot, but we really didn't have a lot of conversations directly about life. But we talked about sports constantly. And when we watched boxing, he talked about that guy is hurt. So what does he do, son? Does he hold? Does he grab? And I realized my father was teaching me about life through boxing. I know you know what I'm talking about when I say HBO every Saturday night, sitting there with my dad watching that. He taught me about life. Yes, we enjoyed the sport, but he taught me about life through that, and that's what you have when you have that book.
That's right. You got to keep on moving because
You gotta
life
keep
is
on
there.
moving. Never going to stop.
That's
Again,
right.
life is a tough opponent. Does not get tired. And let me tell you something. They punch extremely hard.
Yeah.
But I believe that I'm a champion, and everybody that comes to my gym, we train to have championship mindset, and we don't give up the title easy.
Yeah. How do we how do we sign up for your gym?
Sure. So, you can go to our website, www.mentalconditioningmovement.com, as well as our social media handles. We are on Facebook. We are also on Instagram. It's Mental Conditioning Movement. All the information, all the things that we're doing, you'll be able to see it in those places.
Yeah. So when a person comes to your gym and they sign up, they get into the physical, but they get into the mental too. How
We
does
get
that
into-
look when you step into the room?
Sure. We get into, well, actually, it's funny that you asked me that because it's an office. And when I first came to the office, it was painted like an office. I said, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
So I had an artist come in, shout out to Kat. She came in there and she painted my office to look like a boxing gym. So when you walk in there, the walls are painted like a ring. And there's
Yeah.
an audience even around, she painted the audience.
Is that what it looks like right
That's
there?
the gym.
Yeah.
And so when you go in there, it puts you into the mindset of, we're here to fight. We're here to get our work done. And we mentally spar. Not much different from what me and you are doing right now. We mentally spar. So a lot of times people are going to come to us with different avenues of where they are in their lives. I've had people come to me, you know what? They were in relationships. They were in relationships for quite some time. And after the sparring, maybe 6 months later, say, you know what, E? I'm going to get married. I was able to make a breakthrough to understand, again, within the 4 principles, my self-evaluation. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I know my big picture. If it's a man, this lady is my big picture. I can make that decision. Will you marry me? I'm going to get knocked down because marriage, you're going to get knocked down a few times. But I'm ready to get up. I've had people come into my gym who got divorced. And they were in a bad place. How do I get back on? How do I get back up? Through the training.
Right.
We've had them say, you know what? I found a nice partner now, and we're doing well. Those are some of the things that we accomplished career-wise. I've had some people come into my gym. I had a young lady come into my gym who was training to be a physician's assistant. She had a job lined up for her, everything in place. She failed the test 2 times. I don't know nothing about being a physician's assistant, but through our 4 principles, we were able to find out what was her blockage. What were the things that was blocking her from not being able to come through on that test?
Yeah.
Guess what? We had a fight date, which was that test. We came there. We worked for 3 hard months. She took that test and she passed it.
Knockout.
Knockout. Cold. We didn't make it 12 rounds on that one. It was 8
But a lot of
rounds.
people have blockages in their lives,
100%.
and you're there to help.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
To gain your championship and claim your title, and don't give it up.
Don't give
Mentally.
up. Who's your favorite boxer?
Of all time is Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali is my favorite boxer. Let me share this with you really quick.
Did you ever meet him?
I seen him one time, and I don't get starstruck.
I met him at Dick Gidron.
I seen
Dick
that man, and
Gidron
I
Cadillac.
just froze. March the 15th, you mentioned my wife, who is my partner in life.
Yes.
My family is my big picture, and I'm able to move the way that I move because of them. And my wife knows my passion for boxing. She knows Muhammad Ali is my favorite boxer.
Yeah.
And this is for you. Muhammad Ali's training camp up in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania, is still in existence. She took me up there. I made a connection with them, and they allowed me to come up there and do my training camp.
People still run it?
Yes. It's unbelievable. Because what I've been doing up there, we're going to be doing a training camp March the 15th for our men. It's called Suffering in Silence versus Celebrating Our Voices. And Bob, when you get off that bus, Muhammad Ali is my partner for the day.
Yeah.
The men say, oh man, I got goosebumps
Yeah,
running
yeah.
up my arm because you feel not the physical because he's not there.
Right.
but the mental presence of everything that he represented. Muhammad Ali is my favorite fighter because of not only what he did in the ring, but the things that he did out of the ring, the sacrifices that he made, that's untouchable.
Yeah.
And when you go on the grounds, his gym is there. He has his own private quarters is there. He made a quarters for his family to stay up there. He had a kitchen, his own kitchen up there. And each room represents something that when those men get up there and we start sparring mentally, unspeakable. The things that have come out, unspeakable. The greatest work that I've done.
Yeah. So his family runs that spot?
No, it was bought by John Madden's son. And John Madden's son runs the place. The family's involved. They'll come up there. But he has done an unbelievable job of keeping intact Muhammad Ali's presence. So when you get off the bus, you feel it. Nothing has changed. Nothing. And you go in there.
That's where he ran. That's where he chopped wood. He did everything there.
The ring is
he had
there.
his own chef.
You walk into that ring and you're just like, it's unspeakable.
Yeah.
The mindset.
Did you get it in? And slide and move from side to side and everything?
I definitely did that. I definitely did. Just unbelievable experience for me. Unbelievable experience for all of the people that come up there. We will be doing that March the 15th again. So anybody that wants to come, certainly go to our website.
Let me know before you go up there. I would love that.
I would love to have you because again, it's something that, particularly for men, it's not easy for men to come to the gym because it's not easy for us to open up. That's why it's called suffering in silence versus celebrating our voices.
Yeah.
And when we do get us men to open up, it's the most powerful experience. And I would love for you to be able to witness that because it is something special that I got a pretty good vocabulary, but I cannot verbalize what that means to me and what that means to the men that go up there for that training camp.
That's good. So people who sign up with you and come to the gym, do they get a copy of your book?
They get a copy of my book.
That's something we talk about.
Of course. They get a copy of my book, and more than anything, they get the stamp of the mental conditioning movement, which is ingrained in the book and is ingrained in the work that we do. Because, Bob, this is just my passion. So many of us in life don't reach.
Good look right there.
Absolutely.
I like that.
I appreciate it. And I give you a quick tip. Mm-hmm. Everybody out there, the fighter that's on there, is on the cover, is actually me. That was a picture that I took probably about 10 years ago, and I never knew how I would use it. And I finally found a place to use it. So that's a secret.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
12 rounds of mental conditioning. Us versus life. The big fight.
Pay-per-view.
Here comes that big right hand.
Pay-per-view.
What's your website? Where can I go?
www.mentalconditioningmovement.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Here
sir.
he is, Elliot Allen, co-founder, Team Allen Mental Conditioning Gym.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thanks.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. Shucks, I want to stay. We want to talk more. But I want to thank you, our guests, for joining us, you, our viewer, for tuning in and checking it all out. You can continue to follow us on BronxNet TV for our continued coverage. We'd like to thank you once again for letting us share in this space and time with you. Join our hosts, Kim and Arlene, Darren Jaime, and Marina Valentin on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Fridays. We get Thursdays too. We're there. We're there for you. That's for new episodes of Open. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let your choice control the chooser. The Dr. Bob Lee, and I'll see you over 107.5 WBLS. Love you all. Peace.